They need both of us. We are your financial coaches. They need you to show them how to save their money in their business and use that money to finance both their businesses and their lifestyle the way that they want. And I'm going to show them how to use the power of bankability.
All right, guys. Hey, welcome to another episode of the Practical Wealth Show. And so I have a friend of mine and a client of mine, Kevin Lewis of Permisian, right? And did I say it right? Yeah. And so he's got a great, there's a lot, so I'm gonna let him tell him about himself. But really, the topic of today's show is around business credit, right? And so we were talking last week offline, and we both are like seriously annoyed by a lot of the I can't curse so BS or a lot of half truths that we feel are like, clickbaity stuff around the credit world. Is that a good?
Yeah.
Okay. So and so what we're gonna do is I just want to talk to y'all about this. We are actually he's kind of currently, I'm his client too. He's working on my stuff. And also just, I feel like this is an area that we are going to actually, truth be told, form strategic alliances to make sure that, because there's more to it than credit. Like bad credit is a result, right, of poor cash flow management, poor decision making. So we want to kind of, you want to get it and keep it, right, by handling your money right. So Kevin, welcome to the show. Tell them about your background, how you found your way into this, and let's talk to these folks about getting their credit, their business credit straightened out. Their whole thing, but their business credit. And what are some of the myths that got whatever.
Yeah, Kevin Lewis, the owner of Permisian. We are a fintech firm helping small business owners get access to capital through credit. We help them become bankable. That's what we really do. We help make sure that you are appealing to the banks, and we package you up as such. Curtis, I got into it. Bankruptcy is really how I got into this space. In 2005, I found myself divorced. I found myself. I worked my way into a divorce, and as a result, filed bankruptcy. I am from a single parent household. I grew up with a mother, and I was born in the 70s. So Curtis, we didn't talk about finances. Finances was not a thing that we did. That comes from, old school, big African and grown folks. You stay out of grown folks' business. So right. I didn't really understand. Now, my mother did a wonderful job introducing me to concepts and principles. She did a great job raising me. But financial conversations, complicated and complex conversations, just weren't part of our natural soundtrack.
Right.
So in 2000, and let me not put the onus of responsibility on her. To be honest, the truth of the matter is, a woman can raise a man to understand what manhood is, but they can't raise a man to know how to be a man. And so working my way through life as an only child. I'm an only child from a single parent household, growing up with a mother, working my way through life, because really I just made the mistakes, and I made them because I was stubborn and because I'm a man trying to figure out how to be a man. So that said, 2005, I worked my way out of a relationship and into divorce. And as such, I filed bankruptcy. My bankruptcy lawyer said, you need to learn credit because 80%, no, I think the number was around 67% then, people who file bankruptcy end up in the same position or worse 2 years later. So I became a voracious reader of all things credit. I started to understand the credit space, the history of credit, the African-American history of credit, which is a different history than most. And so I was able to keep myself in a solid credit footing, and then started to understand not just how to avoid the pitfalls of credit, personal credit, but then how to use personal credit as a tool, realizing that money is and credit is not the goal, Curtis.
Right.
It's the tool. So I learned to use it as a tool, and then I discovered this wonderful thing called business credit right about 2007, and I recognized the power that it could give a business owner. And so I started putting those two things together, personal credit, business credit together, and started counseling people. And then 2000, I was doing it for family and friends. 2016, I registered the business. 2018, we took on our first client. Have been building people's personal and business credit, really focusing on the African American community and their business credit. Primarily, again, we do personal credit for the business owner, but primarily business credit. And so fast forward to 2023, May 15th of 2023, I launched a product, a software as a service product to help walk a client through our process of helping them build business credit. Been redeveloping and revamping, and actually tomorrow we're going to relaunch version 2 that has a lot more functionality.
Wow. I'm always impressed by software to service or people that build apps, because my mind doesn't work that way. I would love to invent something like that, or see me, I'll find somebody that does what I want to do and I'll white label it, but I can't invent crap. And unfortunately, and I think that's very awesome from a business standpoint, but it's simple, because what you want to do is you want to make it easier for your end user to do what they have to do. And so I've been in the back office a little bit, and I kind of see it. I think I have an onboarding with you this week, and we will get me to work, because I always want to be the product of the product. I make good money, but I've always done stuff on the muscle, because for a real time I didn't really care about credit. Oh, I'm a millionaire. I was like, when I first started doing it, I have money. I'm going to have money. When I was like 20 something, I don't need that. I'm gonna be, when I make all this money. I was in like an MLM insurance type thing, and I'm gonna make $100,000. I'm gonna make $500,000 now. I'm gonna make $1 million. I don't need no damn credit. I have money. Mm-hmm. Wrong, right? Because rich people use debt as money, right? Which is why you want to have access to capital. And so because what happened, I was listening to something with what's the guy? What is the guy? Kiyosaki's business partner, Ken McElroy, right? Mm-hmm. He was talking about debt, and Kiyosaki was boasting that he's like $1 billion in debt, but it's business debt, and it's debt on apartment buildings and this and that. So he's not paying for it. And one of the things he stuck with me, I'm going to start adding to my repertoire, is you want to, your only purpose to have a liability, debt, is to buy an asset.
That's correct.
And people don't do that, because so let's talk about some of our and this will be an ongoing conversation, right? But what are some of the misconceptions that you see out there online that you hear people talking about, that knowing the truth, so we both have what they call the burden of knowledge, right? Right. The burden of knowledge. So we know this is not work, or it's a half truth. And I'll see people with taxes. Oh, I just wrote off about $100,000. I just bought a G-Wagon, and for $100,000 and wrote off my taxes. Can you do that? Yes, but it's more to it than that, right? And but people sell. That's all they hear is that clip. So they go buy a car they can't afford, or worse yet, they get business credit to buy a car they can't afford, but their business doesn't have any revenue, so they're still paying for it personally. So that's to get you rolling. I just want to get you riled up a little bit to figure out some of the stuff you can't stand, and let's talk about that. Give me like 3 myths that you see out there that you can't, 3 or 4. I mean, you can think of, but that we can talk about, that we could talk through for these people.
Yeah, curse. So I'm not going to curse on your show. You set the bar, so I'm not going to curse on your show. I want to, but I'm not going to.
All right.
Myth number 1 is a revenue myth. So there are a bunch of people who are sensationalizing business credit. They are saying that you can start your business today, get $50,000 worth of business credit tomorrow. And they're saying you can do that without revenue. And why that's a problem is because there a metric that businesses use, that banks use to lend to you, and that's called the bank rate. But let me say this to you, Curtis. Most of what is happening is some of it is misinformation, meaning people don't know all of the information, and that's harmful. Some of this is disinformation, meaning people know all the information, but they're telling you something incorrect to lead you down a different path, and that is dangerous. So misinformation is usually because people know the subject, but they don't say the predicate. Remember, social media is a snippet of life, and it's about 1 minute and 27 seconds, so you can't tell the whole sentence. So what we do is talk about the predicate, the subject and the predicate of credit. And that revenue myth is a problem because, yes, you can go out and get $50,000 worth of credit, but it's vendor credit. That is credit from a company that will sell you products and services and send you an invoice. The problem is, if your business is not generating any revenue, when that invoice is due, you can't pay it, which means you're going to get the equivalent. So on a business credit report, there's this thing called a UCC filing, which essentially says you owe another company money. It would be the equivalent of a charge-off on personal credit.
Okay.
So when those people are saying you could get $50,000 worth of credit, the answer is that is half true. You're going to have to pay that $50,000 worth of credit back in 30 days. And if you don't have the money, if your business is not generating the revenue, can't get it. If they're talking about credit lines, term loans, unsecured credit, not possible, because the banks use this thing called a bank rate. Bank rate is they're looking at your average daily balance for a 90-day period to determine what your daily revenue is. And anything below 10,000 is going to give you a lower bank rate. Banks want to look, when they're talking $50,000 worth of credit lines, loans, term loan, credit cards, you're talking about, they want a high 5. It goes from 1 to 5, and it's low, mid, high, each one of those. So most banks want a high 5, which means you have at least $10,000 every day when the bank closes for a 90-day period. So that's myth number 1, having no revenue.
No revenue, okay.
Having no revenue. Myth number 2, you can get business credit without a personal guarantee. Again, we're still talking vendor credit. So that is a half truth, another half truth. You can get business credit without a personal guarantee. Those vendors, those net 30, those accounts that do invoicing will allow you to use only your business's EIN, and you can get this credit. But again, you've got to pay it back. So the real deal is, the only credit that you can get without personally attaching the owner's personal credit is vendor credit. What we call vendor credit. They may call it something else, but
what is I'm trying to think of, can you name, like, in my mind, I'm thinking, like, I used to get people come to my office from the not Staples, but Staples sometimes.
Quill,
and there's another one with a guy on
it.
Yeah, that kind of stuff.
Ranger.
That's vendor credit.
That's vendor credit. And those are necessary. So let me just be clear. Those are necessary, and they are a necessary part of our process. Because the other thing is you can skip over a process. You can skip over the process. And I'm gonna do this one other thing, but I'm gonna touch on that in a minute. They are part of our process. So when you go to a bank wants to see at least 12 trade lines. On personal credit, you just call them credit. You just call it credit. But on business credit, it's called a trade line. It simply means that the credit that you have is reporting to the business credit bureaus. And that's one of the other myths that people don't talk about. You can go out and get this business credit, even from a vendor. But if that vendor does not report to the business credit bureaus, those business credit bureaus being Dun& Bradstreet, Equifax, Experian, Credit Safe, there are a few others, but those are the majors. If they don't report, that's the other myth. If they're not reporting, it's not happening. And so a lot of people, this is what they do, Curtis. They'll go open a business bank account. Their bank will say, oh, apply for and get this business credit card. Don't do that, because they'll give you the business credit card. You might have a limit of $5,000, but if that's not reporting, which most of them don't, if that's not reporting, then essentially you have nothing. And once you apply for that, it may stop you from being able to apply for another's, because business banks are looking at debt stacking. So they're looking at, okay, that person has $10,000 worth of credit. They ran it up. Now we don't want to risk them not paying for our credit card. And I'm going to stop there because I see you have a question, bro.
I mean, because I hear go to Navy Federal, go to wherever.
That Navy Federal slave.
Right. And you know, tell them you make 200,000, and if your stated income, I think might be getting companies mixed up, but and then you get stated money. Just tell them you make that. It's so as long as your personal score is over 680, you can get, $10,000 or $15,000 credit card and a $30,000 or $50,000 line of credit. So I've on some of these credit podcasts, I hear that all the time.
That shouldn't make sense to anybody listening.
Mm-hmm.
You are telling a lie. Your company makes $13,000 a year, and you lied on an application and said you make $200,000 a year. At some point, that's going to catch up with you, right?
Yeah.
Because you are filling out documentation. Banks know. So the thing about business credit versus personal credit is all lenders can see everything that you applied for. That's why they deny you. They can see everything that you applied for, how much you applied for. And so they're going to see that you applied for Navy Federal and you stated that you had $200,000 worth of income, right? Now you're going to go to a bank, major bank. I don't endorse soap because they don't pay me. You're going to go to a major bank. Major bank is going to say, let me see your bank statements, and let me see your last 3 years tax return, the last 2 years tax returns, right? Your last 2 years tax returns say that your first year, 13,000, your next year, 24,000, but they saw that you applied the first year and you said you made $200,000. So you are a risk. If you lied to that bank, that means you're going to lie to my bank. Why start your business off on a lie? So when they say
see, that's how I think. So when I hear that, I'm going, okay, don't. And if you get the money and you don't actually have a business or know how to make money, hopefully you can get this property and flip it or whatever you're trying to do. But I see, because I work people on their cash flow, the other side of that, where you've got this credit and your business is not generating any revenue. And so you're lying to yourself because you're subsidizing this business credit out of your job money, right? And you're robbing and you're broke. I mean, I see that every day and it drives me crazy, right? And so I think you need to build it, but I think you need to build it. What is that? I don't know if it's AA, but all progress begins with the truth.
Yeah.
Right? And so you got to start with the truth and have, accurate numbers. And then that's what I like about your process. You want to build it right so it's sustainable, right? And so okay, I like that. Yeah, that was the question. That was a statement. I don't know if it's a statement or a question, but that's what I see. And so I wanted to bring that up because I know that's some of the hype I see. But it's incredible.
Let me ask you this question.
Mm-hmm.
Somebody walks up to you on the street and says, not even someone that walks up to you. I'll make it more intimate than that. Mm-hmm. A friend walks up to you and says, Curtis, can you lend me $25,000? And you know that they lied to another one of your friends about how much money they make, how much they could pay back. And you know that they didn't pay that friend back because of that lie. would you give him that 25,000?
Nope. Nope.
So why do you think a bank would do it?
Right. I tell people, look, on the personal side, I used to tell people that because I did mortgages a while ago, about 15 years ago. And I said, look, and I would always do workshops. I said, your credit report is a written verification of your integrity. Right. And so I remember I used to teach these how to grow your credit score classes. My least favorite class to teach, right? Because they would, why do you want to improve your credit? Oh, I want to get a house. Oh, I want to get a car. I said, and so I'm in curse this one time. I would say, listen, so here's the thing. Y'all want to improve your credit so y'all can go out and buy more dumb shit. Right. And so that was how I opened my class. Right. And I said, listen, because you're buying stuff that you got to pay for. It's you're working for the bank. So your premise is wrong. And then I said, listen, so if the bank is not stupid. So like I told the story one time we had a bar right in Philly, and we were doing this little festival, and the guy, now I knew the guy, but I hadn't seen him in a couple of years. So Kurt, yo, Kurt, man, can you loan me $20? I'm good for it, right? Huh. And so I told people, look, this is how the bank thinks, right? So, okay, let's do a little credit check. This is all within like split second, right? Okay, you don't work. So therefore, you do not have the ability to pay me back. No, I don't know you're good for it. And the fact that you're asking me for $20, I ain't seen you for 2 years. And I don't think you have the ability to pay. So unless I'm willing to make it a gift, your loan is denied, right? This is all, so the denial was like, oh man, I'm sorry. I can't pay attention right now, brother. So that was my, no, you're not getting a loan. Sorry, your loan is denied. If I tried to break, but that's how banks think.
Yeah.
Can you pay me back?
Can you pay
Do
me
you
back?
have the ability to pay me back? That's all I want. I don't want to repossess your truck, your car. I don't want to foreclose on a house. I don't want to be in the real estate business. That's expensive. I want my money back in regular payments with interest.
And they're going to do everything in their power to check whether you can pay back and who you've paid back. And they're watching your current progress. They're watching your current movement. So not even what you've done in the past, what you're doing right now. They can see it. They can see it just like you can see it, just like I can see it.
Mm-hmm.
Curtis, here's the one other myth that is driving me insane. This selling of authorized users on personal credit. The selling of authorized users on personal credit or business credit. I have a client. So here's what I have. I saw this. I have a client right now. This happened to, and it was bad. So the client paid $1,500, and a company said that client borrowed $30,000 and paid it back 12 years ago and paid it back on time every month, right? That never happened. The client said that the company charged the $1,500, said they sold him $30,000 worth of computer parts. So he was able to get business credit. The IRS did an audit. Now, the IRS did an audit of the company that charged him the $1,500 to be an authorized user. That company was not able to pay the IRS fined that company. That company wasn't able to pay the fine. So then they fined my client. Now remember, he paid $1,500 to become an authorized user. They sold it to him. The IRS fined my client because they were not able to recover their money from the person that sold this authorized usership, because they tracked that company never sold any. They didn't sell computers at all. They bought a shell company, didn't sell any computers, so there was no transfer of goods. So my client got the fine, $30,000 fine. Ouch. $30,000 fine. Paid $1,500 for the service and ended up paying $31,500 for that entire transaction, and then became my client and had to pay me too. That said, when people sell you authorized usership, that is a bad deal. Again, you don't know these people. You don't know how they're using their credit, both personal and business. And they're selling lies. Don't build your business on sand. Don't start off that way. Stop trying to scam and get over. Just build a solid business. If you're not going to build a solid business, if you're going to just do a hobby, just make it a hobby. But if you're trying to build a solid business, the bank, now let me say this, the banks there are discriminatory practices, and the banks are leveraging their power to make laws that make it really challenging for marginalized communities to get access to capital. But don't give them ammo. Don't give them ammunition. Build your foundation solid. Let us help you do that. Build the foundation solid. You'll be able to walk into any bank afterwards and say, this is what I can do.
I love that. Build it solid. I think that because people will say that, well, they ain't going to let us, or whatever. There's redlining and this and that. And I had done a historical thing. I was like how the other half banks, whatever. There's a couple of books where they brought that down, but I don't know that it's that prevalent now. And, if you, tell me what you feel about this, because what happens is like, all right, we got to make sure that government wants to make sure that there's access to available funds, right? But what they're willing to do, this is how I see it. So maybe this is my kind of libertarian viewpoint, but they want to use taxpayer money to make imprudent loans that if they were risking their own money, they wouldn't make.
Yeah.
Right. And so you have to have revenue. You have to save money. You have to be bankable. Like am I wrong?
No, you are 1,000% correct, Curtis. They need both of us. We are your financial coaches. They need you to show them how to save their money in their business and use that money to finance both their businesses and their lifestyle the way that they want. And I'm going to show them how to use the power of bankability, because it's other people's money. You're going to finance your business one of three ways. Self-funding, which means you're going to put money back into the business, and that's what you help them do, and that's important. You're going to use debt financing, which is we're going to borrow money. We can do that quicker than we can self-finance. We can borrow money, we're going to pay it back with interest. Or you can equity finance, which means you're going to allow somebody to own a piece of your company or other people to own a piece of your company. More than likely, a great business is going to use a combination of all three. Certainly, we can help you. You and I can help them use the two: self-funding, which is what you're great at, and debt financing or becoming bankable, which is what I work hard to be great at.
I like that. So how can they? So we're actually going to put a link to the sites where we can kind of do that. But if they want to follow along what you're doing, how can they get more of you?
Absolutely. We're everywhere with that name that you see there, Promethean. We're at www.promethean.com is our internet. If you want to connect to us via email, it's info@promethean.com. All social media channels have that name, Promethean. And if you want to reach out via phone, you can do so at 215-904-8690. Either way you reach out to us, we can do a free, it is a no cost. We can do a business success scan. We can tell what you pre-qualify for already. And if you don't pre-qualify for something, we can coach you through how to become qualified for different lending vehicles that we have. But again, it's the name Promethean, Premisien. We're everywhere with that name.
All right. So if you talk to him, tell him you heard of him through the Practical Wealth Show, just so we can see if our show is working. And so for more like this, so we're going to have Kevin back. I just wanted to give you all a short intro, and I want to get this out there so you can. There's so many more myths to discover. Okay. And I want you to keep an eye out for a master class we're working on, and just really a program where we teach it and then we implement it so that we can help you all get on the right track. So I wanted to kind of introduce that coming up. We just started talking about it 3 days ago, so it's not ready yet. But as we do this recording, but we're excited about it. And just want y'all to think, folks, it's sometimes if it, what's it say? If it sounds too good to be true, it might be, or you just got to keep digging. Because sometimes it, like I teach infinite banking. That sounds too good to be true, but it is 100% true. But you got to keep digging, right?
It's 1,000% true. And thank you for putting me on, because it has changed my life.
There you go. This is where we are. Because all I teach is a place to store your capital. And then I like the way you say it is self-funding, debt funding, or what's the other one? Equity funding. And so really, if you study people, they do a combination of all three. You know, sometimes you can give up a piece of the action to grow because somebody else brings in skills or money or distribution. And so, you know, what you got to do is we want to keep tight a hold on capital. We don't think about expanding. A lot of times, guys, and this is the other thing I try to work people on, sell some stuff, right? You can grow through grow your revenue. You got a sales problem. Most people, they got a sales problem or marketing problem, marketing and sales problem, right? So it's really all of those that we're going to talk about. But Kevin, I appreciate it. I'm excited. So you'll see his contact information in the show notes of the show, and keep an eye out. And then we will work between the two of our companies to kind of get you all guys on the top of the horse, so to speak, and progressing you down the road. Because the goal, guys, is to become financially independent, right? Which means that you can live like you want to live from the income from your personally invested assets. And the engine is the driver of that, right? And that's the main thing. So I want you guys to see your business as the driver of your wealth, the main driver of your wealth. And then you want to get access to money because it is easier to borrow 50 grand and save up 50 grand.
For sure.
Right. And so, but you want to be able to do both. Okay. That's what I want. I want you to have the money, because I want you to see, I told you, look, I want people to borrow, Kevin, out of opportunity and not out of necessity. Sure. Right. So so that means you have money, but you may not want to use your money. You want to use their money, but you have the money. It's just a choice. Which one do I want to do? Or stuff goes sideways, I can use my capital to take over. Right. But that's borrowing out of opportunity. So you want to build that and then be a good steward of your resources. So that's the message, guys. And Kevin, any final words of wisdom for the peoples out there?
I just want to thank you for allowing me to be before the people. You're doing an amazing service. People need to contact you, get in touch with Practical Wealth, and get in touch with Promethean if you're looking to be bankable. We are looking forward to you. Like I said, free coaching, free consultation, free success scan. We can get you started on your path to the millions that you're talking about.
All right. You can't beat that. All right, guys, go out there and make it a profitable day. And we will talk to you soon. Have a great day. And listen, if you know somebody that needs this episode, share it with them and give us a like wherever you listen to this, on Facebook, on Apple, on YouTube. We're all over the place. So we're worldwide. All right. Talk to you soon. Bye. Are you ready to take control of your financial future? Hi there. I'm Curtis May, and I'm here to help you achieve your financial goals. Do you want to be the customer bank, or would you like to be the bank? Subscribe to our channel for regular updates, valuable insights from experts in different fields. The name of the game, guys, is cash flow. Okay. You can't eat equity. And our goal is to help you build, we call it being a cash flownaire, which is passive income twice your expenses outside of Wall Street, where possible, right? It is quite possible. And so if you're interested in learning more about our services, here is what I challenge you to do, or I invite you to do, I won't say challenge, is to take our financial freedom quiz. See where you are, okay? Don't wait any longer to take control of your financial future. Let's begin this journey together.